Thanks, Allison. Thanks for joining me today during your lunch hour, or if you're at different parts of the country, different time zones. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Dr. Scott Sells, and I am the founder of the Family Trauma Institute and model developer of a model called FST Family Systems Trauma, which I'll talk about today, and the author of the book, Treating the Traumatized Child, a step-by-step family systems approach. Now, the goal and my mission is to really help people become, really, really good at moving from just working with the individual who's traumatized to becoming a family trauma expert. Because as you'll see in a moment, one of the missing niches I saw over the years was that we really had a lot of material and books and articles on how to work with the individual who's traumatized, but not so much step-by-step tools to work with the entire traumatized family and their community. And I also have a guest, Sandra Hall, and I'll introduce her in just a little bit. But I wanted to just give you a quick backstory of how this all began. About 30 years ago, 1989, I graduated with my MSW from Florida State University. Well, immediately I see a huge problem or pain point when I get into the field. I have a few tools. I'm an eclectic therapist in a way, or a social worker, a counselor, but I did not have any step-by-step tools, scripts, handouts to know exactly the timing of what to do, when to do it. It was amazing to me that when I got out of school, I was a jack of all trades and a master of none. I can remember the fear I would go into a session not knowing exactly the step-by-step tools, and when I would read books, it was generalized principles, but not the micro steps. And so what spurred me on is that I was an apprentice with a person by the name of Jay Haley, who was the founder of Strategic Family Therapy, and I wrote the book, Treating the Tough Adolescent. Now, what I got from a lot of people was, Scott, thank you. This is step-by-step. It gives me exactly what to do, how to do it. And that was what you're going to see today, is that I got frustrated going to webinars, well, back then it was workshops, and not really seeing the step-by-step tools. This led to parenting your out-of-control teenager for parents, but then I saw the second major problem in my career. Fast forward, and I begin to see that as the child who has extreme emotional and behavior problems gets better, they're returning to the same unchanged family, and so you could work with the child that's traumatized, but if you don't work with the whole family that's traumatized, it would end it oftentimes in relapse. I don't know if you've experienced the same thing. So it led to a 10-year research project that you're going to see today, tools from this, called Treating the Traumatized Child, a step-by-step family systems approach, which then led to an evidence-based model called PLL and the Family Trauma Institute. And for those of you who want to see some of the research that was put into this, you can go to familytrauma.com and really look at, click on research or the About tab, and you'll see the research outcomes from this work. So what happened is that I saw there was 4 key problems that I want to bring up today, or pain points. The first one to solve was that many practitioners, paraprofessionals, case managers know intuitively, especially in today's environment, that we have to work with the entire traumatized family, not just the individual. The second thing I found was that in my research, we had to overcome the problem of getting parents, couples, and extended families to show up and cooperate. This is what I saw all the time. Parents would say to me, just fix my kid. I have no issues. And the more we persisted, the more they resisted. So there had to be a way to figure out how to get people to show up and cooperate at an 80% or higher rate. The third pain point was that I would talk to my colleagues and friends, and they'd say, look, Scott, family therapy scares me to death. And I said, what do you mean? I've never been trained in it in school. It's uncomfortable when you bring all these people in with conflict. It's scary for me. I get overwhelmed. And so I've been taught more client-centered approach. I know that I want to work with the family, but I don't have time to go back to graduate school, and I need step-by-step tools. So I wanted to make sure that with this life's work, that I could bring you all the tools to walk in with confidence and swag with step-by-step tools. And you're going to get 2 of those today. Also, I wouldn't do my job if people did not learn family trauma with speed and efficiency, but that they could use these tools the next day at work and get immediate results. I felt I was a failure if I did not go in that direction, so I spent extra time really refining what you're seeing today so that you can use that immediately and get immediate results. Maybe my pain is your gain, because like I said, when I got out of school, and even throughout my career, I got frustrated because I did not have the step-by-step tools. So from the book originated 12 core techniques. And the 2 techniques I'm going to highlight today as an overview is engaging the extended family and trauma playbooks. That's why I entitled this workshop, Lessons We Learned Too Late, because I found that these 2, as well as the other 10, are absolutely critical to move the needle quickly for you to become a family trauma expert. So by the end of today, I'm going to have the goal of giving you 3 takeaways. So by the end of our talk today, our time together, I want, number 1, that you are equipped with 2 of the 12 must-have trauma techniques. And like I said, I want to be able to teach you so that you can use these immediately. Secondly, I want also you to imagine what it's going to be like, if you don't already do it, to think differently about trauma from a family systems lens. I know when I got out of graduate school, my lens was more client-centered, but the world opened up for me that it was both and. If I could look at the world or the North Star from both family systems and individual, that was going to be a game changer. So I'm going to show what it's like to look at the problem of trauma from a family systems lens. And finally, if you're inspired today and want to go further and faster to achieve these goals of learning all 12 techniques, I'm going to show you, with better outcomes, I'm going to show you how in a very easy, simple way to do so. So those are the 3 takeaways. Now, I want to hear from you. When I look at these 4 key problems or pain points, I want to know if you could type in your chat bar which one of these resonates with the most of why you showed up today. I'll give you the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4, and it might be 2. It might be 1. These 4, which one is the most, the one that resonates the most with you? Scott, I want to learn, I want to go from individual trauma, I want to be better at treating the entire traumatized family, whether I'm a case manager, a paraprofessional, or a licensed clinical therapist. I want to better engage parents, couples, and extended family. I want to gain confidence. I want to be better at family therapy, and I want to learn it without having going back to school. And I want to learn it with immediate results. So let me stop here, and if your chat bar, 1, 2, 3, and 4, let's see what some of you put in here. Okay, so we have Ashley said 2, Mia number 2, Antonio. Okay, so we're getting a lot of 3s, 2s, and 1s. Shauna, thank you. You have 3. Hope is at a 2. Okay, so a lot of ones, which is that you're in the right place. I want to really learn family systems work. And then Yasmin said all of the above. I like I'm an all of the above person as well. And Diana said number 2. So thank you guys for giving me that feedback, because you're in the right place today. So let's get started. The trauma techniques we often learn too late. I'm going to, like I said, give you an overview of 2 of them. So let's start with the first one. This one looks easy at first, but is often not done. How to engage the extended family with clarity of roles. Of course, in my social work background, we look at person and environment. We embrace with eco maps the whole idea of it takes a village. But the problem is that nobody taught me how to engage the village, the family, and when they got there, I didn't know what to do with what roles were. I would have people come in, grandparents, aunts, uncles, case managers. I knew from a wraparound lens that was the right thing to do, but when they got in, I didn't know what to do with them. Or here's what I'd always get from parents. We have no village. Or we burned all our bridges, so don't even bother. And so I said, oh my gosh, why is this so important? I knew it was, but I didn't know how to do it. So this number 6 is a huge one, because it's a lesson I learned way too late in so many of my cases, and you're going to see a video clip to help give an example of why this can be a game changer. Now, all of these village members are important, but it begins with the right question. I was asking the wrong question. I was taught to ask what before who. What's the goal of treatment? But I never started treatment with who before what. Here's what I mean. So a light bulb moment came when I read a business book called Good to Great. And Jim Collins wrote that all the best companies, the healthiest companies, the CEOs started with who before what. They said, we got to get the right people on the bus. And Jeff Bezos was the owner of Amazon, was famously quoted, I'd rather interview 200 people and not hire anyone than hire the wrong person. The wrong person off the bus, the right people in the right seats. And I was like, whoa, that blew my mind. I was like, yeah, I don't do this. I do what before who. So I knew that if I get the right people on the bus and motivated, thinking from a family systems lens, that my trauma cases will get unstuck. Otherwise, my cases oftentimes stay stuck. Because what I was doing is only seeing the family that walked through my front door. So it might be a single-parent mom, a single-parent dad, maybe just the individual. But I never even asked the question, who else is in the village? And if I did, I was petrified because I didn't know what to do with them. So I was asked as a consultant, which I do a lot of today from home and abroad. Tawanda said, I want to go to who before what. But right now I'm only seeing the immediate family and the individual child. I know the key people aren't in the room, but I don't know what to do. So the case you're going to see, you're not going to see Dylan, but you're going to see his parents on the phone, and here's what you're going to see. Dylan's 15 years old. He is, his extreme symptoms are aggression that are just off the charts. So much so that he's currently in residential treatment, and he's about to return home. The problem is the parents aren't on the same page. You got two sets of biological parents, one on the East Coast, a biological mom and a stepdad, and you've got a biological father and a stepmother on the West Coast, one on the East, one on the West. The village is completely not engaged, and they've come out of a bitter custody divorce, and Dylan is stuck smack dab in the middle. Imagine if I only continued to, as a consultant, say to Tawanda, I'd just see the biological mom and the stepdad because they are located right near the residential treatment facility, and she's like, I don't know how to get the biological dad in. So I said to her, this is like a tug of war. You're on the left, the family's on the right, which means that you have a critical moment in treatment. We call this the battle for structure. Simply put, whoever controls the definition of the problem controls the treatment. So if you believe self-fulfilling prophecy that it won't work, it won't work. If you don't contend for the village and you win this battle, treatment can end before it begins. You've been doing all this treatment with just individual Dylan. You've had some family sessions, but we're missing this unrealized potential of the biological dad and the stepmother because Dylan is caught in the middle. She's like, you're right, but what do I do? She said to me, when I asked the biological mom if there's a village, she says, yeah, there is, but they won't show up. One of the tools I use is called the Village Handouts. It's part of the FST model, where it's amazing when you hand this out without a lot of fanfare and you just say, who are the different people? Are they, and their names, all of a sudden you get names and you start writing supportive or non-supportive. So you get this beautiful tapestry of names and if they're supportive or not supportive. So I don't even ask, do you have a village anymore, because I'll get a no. Instead, I pivot and say, could you fill this out of who is in your village and just put their initials or their names in it? And all of a sudden now I have something to work with. So in this video clip, you'll see as a consultant I come in and do 3 things that you can replicate with your practice. Number 1, the village handout is filled out and everybody can see in black and white that the ex-spouse and the grandparents are critical because they're both the supportive, non-supportive, kind of in the middle. And so I am very clear in the video clip that you're going to see now what's in it for me. I want to tell the family that I'm contending for who before what, and here's the rationale. Nobody is going to respond well if you just say, well, I need the village in. Well, what's your rationale? Why should I care? What's in it for me? So I share with them what's in it for them to have them continue in treatment, both sets of parents. Then I do a second thing, which is a simple scaling question. I go from 1 to 5, how damaged is your relationship right now? Like do you have a working relationship? Do you hate each other? 5, you're working pretty well right now. 1, you're not even close, because I want to know what I'm getting into. That simple scaling question is great because you're kicking the tires. And everybody's surprised, me and Tawanda, when they say, well, we're at a 3 or 4. I'm like, great. And then I ask the question, have you guys ever been together in treatment? And surprisingly, they say never. We've never been asked. And that's why I like Zoom sometimes, because there is some disadvantages with it, but there's also the ability to work smarter, not harder. So here is a 4-part series. I gave them the handout. Then I asked them why I'm doing this. Then I set the terms of therapy that we need you here and why. And then I asked the question, have you ever done this before? So let's watch the video together. And you can put Q&A or questions as you get in as you watch, and I'll answer them at the end. One of the things I said that one of my philosophies of change is to bring both step parents and biological parents together. And sometimes, there's been scar tissue or fallout, especially when you have a child who there's been a lot of drama. Sometimes there can be finger pointing. Sometimes there can be like resentments. And of course, I can't change the past. My role is like okay, you guys are always going to be parents, even though you guys may not get along outside of that, and you might not even get along as parents right now. But if you guys do put a ceasefire and work with me, guess who benefits? Dylan, because he has a front row seat to see that something broken is restored. The question I have before I move on to Donnie and Billy is, would you guys accept that theory of change, of working together, that we're better together, or is that something that will be something that they'll take getting used to?
I think that it would be great. I mean, we're kind of already doing that now in a way, and so whereas in the past, me and our families haven't worked together, we have done a really good job the last year of working together and doing stuff for the betterment of Dylan. So I look forward to it going forward.
It's like taking a pulse check or kicking the tires. It tells me how hard I have to work. So would you guys say, on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being you guys are really workable together as a team, you're ready, you're positioned to get ready for Dylan's return, 1, you're not even close, there's no science to this, would you guys say you're closer to a 5 or closer to a 1? What would you say? Let's go to Becky let's go to Donnie and Billy first, because you guys haven't really had as much time to talk. So what would you say on that?
4. Closer to a 5.
Wow. Okay.
In the past year, we still have our differences, but we both kind of decided to unify after, we had a very costly court battle that probably was some of Dylan's manipulation. And after that, we both recognized and decided that no matter the differences that we have, Becky and I chose to be parents, and therefore we have a responsibility. So forming a unified front is really the only answer.
Will this be the first time since Dylan has had difficulties that all of you guys will be in the same room together, having a plan of action with me in the role of consultant and Tawanda being the primary care counselor? Will this by itself be a difference that makes a difference of having you guys all together in the same room? Is that going to be a new thing for Dylan to see, or he's seen it before?
It'll be new.
He's seen Donnie and Billy and Mom and Stepdad working together in the last year-ish.
Not in the same room.
Not physically in the same room. Definitely not with Tawanda, and certainly, obviously, not with,
So I get a lot of questions about, man, that seems so good. That worked really well there. So, and boy, that's a challenge for me. So as you go deeper into FST, my job is to really show you the curveballs that come in. But what you see here is an imagine if. Imagine if tomorrow you have more and more of the tools to engage the extended family, find the extended family, engage the extended family. What a game changer that will be. Imagine this session without the biological parents working together. Imagine what it's going to happen if I just work with the individual trauma with Dylan and he goes back to the same situation where the parents are not knowing what their roles are. So what I wanted to ask you is if you would type in yes, if engaging the extended family at a higher level with who before what would help enhance your trauma practice. So I'll let Allison give me a few of the names as you guys, if you think that this could be, move the needle for you. That, as I said before, it's a lesson I did not have in terms of how to do it. And since this has happened to me, change has been huge. So Allison, if some people put in yes to this one.
Yes, we've got lots of yeses. Jennifer, yes. Chelsea, yes. Noveen, yes. Denise, absolutely yes. We even got a couple 100% yes. And Desiree's, absolutely engaging extended family, which are often present in the home.
Yeah, I think it's taking family systems theory and really applying it in a big way. So this case got really unstuck and it moved forward. Now I want to share with you the second one. The second one is called an FST Trauma Playbook. Now this is an interesting one because what I found in treatment is sometimes we don't mean to, but in mental health we set our clients up for failure because we oftentimes give them a verbal intervention that's not written down, it's not predetermined. We don't troubleshoot the curveballs that could happen if it doesn't work. We don't do dress rehearsals. And so when you have generational trauma and you have a stuck couple, a stuck family, the analogy I would use that the reason the term playbook came is because one day I talked to a coach of a football team and I said, this is what happens in mental health. And he said, man, could you imagine our football team coming to practice for spring training and the first thing they get is a notebook of all the plays written down in detail with the clarity of roles. We practice these playbooks that are written out so many times that the quarterback only has to shout out a number off of their numbers that are listed on their wristband, and everybody knows where to line up, what to do, what their role is. And he said, could you imagine if the football team came onto the field opening day and nobody had a playbook of what to do? I said, yeah, so that stuck with me, and this is the tool I want to share with you next. So here is this one. So the now what question is answered with a playbook. Now, what is the now what question? Here's what I want to share with you, and this one is number 10 out of the 12 list. So I'm going to take a quick poll in a second. After I define what now what is, Allison will post this poll of how many of you right now get the now what question in your trauma work. And here's what we found in that 10-year research project that produced the book. We found that families would say to us, it helps us to talk about our child's woundedness or even ours as a couple or as a parent. But now what? And they would say, the more we talk about the trauma, the worse we feel. I call it the law of diminishing return. We want tools in the here and now to move forward to heal our trauma and not get stuck in our past. This FST model is built on a therapy of action, where families are saying to us and to many of us, we're stuck. Talking about it helps us, but when we go home, we need to answer the now what question. So how many of you right now get a type of this now what question in your trauma work? I just want to take a quick poll and see, because what happened was early in my career I didn't have an answer for now what. I kept asking them to talk more and more about the trauma, and I used catharsis, and oftentimes it helped initially, but then they started to get worse the more they talked about it. So how many of you have that? And if Allison can publish the poll. Okay, so 92% of you have had a now what question. Okay, great. So this technique is going to really fit for 92% of you, and maybe even the no people, this is something that you may want to look at as well. So Candace comes to me, and she's stuck with the now what. The complications further arose with this case where Dad has not been in the picture, Patrick, and he's coming from Florida, and he's actually has no money. He's pretty much homeless. He's living in the backyard of the house with his ex-wife is taking care of the kids. They do not have a good relationship, but the ex-wife knows that Patrick is really important, Sarah, and Sarah has been through a lot. When I come into the picture as a consultant, she's been through a domestic violence relationship with not Patrick, but another man she married has put the family through so much trauma that they're still healing from it. So Sarah will say, I have control issues. I'm scared to let anybody help me co-parent because what if it fails? And so her two oldest boys are the biological children to Patrick, Lucas and Ryan, and they're teenagers. And Patrick comes in and says, I don't know how to parent because I was never shown, I never had a dad. And so it's easy to point fingers at Patrick that he's hopeless, he can't come up to the plate. But one of the things that we use is the trauma playbook because Patrick is saying to us, now what? What am I going to do in the here and now to connect with my boys again? I don't know what to do. We believe at FST that families will do well if they can, but they often lack the skills, and they won't wake up by osmosis and learn these skills. They need to come in with an active coach to help them, which is the FST therapist in this case. So in the FST model, one of the things that has really been said to me by many, many therapists, this is one of my favorite parts, is that in the FST model, you give us kind of like a Top Chef cookbook where you show us how to look at the root causes quickly, and you call them undercurrents that are unseen to the naked eye. And with Patrick, the undercurrent that's driving the problems between him and the boys is betrayal or abandonment. The father has just come back into the picture, and so this is root work, not weed work. So as you decide to go into FST more, you'll learn how to find these undercurrents quickly. So we have to put in security, forgiveness, or unconditional love. But it's not going to happen by magic. We have to give the family a technique to inject this healthy undercurrent. And what I do is I show kind of a recipe menu for therapists to choose from of techniques to help unstick the family. So what you're going to see in this one is it's the analogous to an antidote or an antibiotic, which is these interventions are designed to put back in the missing healthy undercurrents. Because if the family could do so on their own, they wouldn't be in your office. So here is the trauma playbook. It's clear who's involved, what's the intervention, when is it going to be delivered, and where and how. So as you decide to go deeper into FST, you will be presented with these types of playbooks that you can use to get immediate results, to answer the now what question. So in this case, the healthy undercurrent and the technique was shown was strengthening family connections. So I got together as a consultant with Candace and I said, let's try this intervention to bring in unconditional love. It's called a positive Lucas report. So Dad will be taught how to deliver this with excellence through dress rehearsals and practice, where for the longest time, he'll tell you in the videotape that you're going to see that he's only been able to catch his son doing something wrong, which includes Ryan and Lucas, and this antibiotic or chemotherapy is attacking the unhealthy undercurrent with its healthy counterpart. And this tool, the positive Lucas report, gives him the opportunity to hand it to him, be playful and hide it in his cereal box, put it underneath his pillow with a mint. You know, you get the idea. what we're trying to do is use this antibiotic to change the trauma in the family. So let's watch this here. So imagine if your practice starts using these FST Trauma Playbooks, and you can start to see the results very quickly because you know where to tap. Let me repeat that. When you know the undercurrent, which is the root, know where to tap. Trauma treatment can be brief and strategic because you're not just spinning your wheels. So here we listen to Patrick. They have their masks on because we're in a COVID environment. Where the other thing is, I always want to try to help people do online therapy with excellence. So let's watch this one. I said to you with almost tears in my eye that you're a good father. Now I want you to see my face here. Okay, do you see my face? Okay. I said you're a good father. I also said that you didn't have a father growing up and that you've been through a lot of trauma and pain. And I said that I think you'll do well if you can, but it's hard when you haven't had a role model because you had no father to show you how to praise your boys and affirm them. And so you do what you know.
No, you were absolutely on point. I mean, pretty much everything you said was 100% accurate, you know, and even the little things I was able to do, you know, that you were telling me about, I mean, worked tremendously. Mm-hmm. You know, even something as simple as hoping, I'm not going to say knowing, I'm going to say hoping that he doesn't really eat this stuff that he's talking about, you know, just let stuff like that go. Mm-hmm. And I noticed, you know, when I try to do that, it doesn't just help me, it actually helps him too. Because he stops doing that stuff because he's not getting the attention. So, I mean, yeah, it was absolutely on point.
This is amazing because what Patrick is saying here is that he's saying that it not just helped him, it helped me. What happens is that when families start to feel hope in the here and now, answering the now what question, hope springs eternal, and you can move into deeper issues, which the next series of layers is Patrick's alcoholism, okay? But success breeds success. He's having a shift in perception of hope because he's seeing a quick victory with the FST Trauma Playbook, which allows him to be a hero, which then allows me as a consultant and Candace to go in and say, we've got to go deeper. So this is a must-have trauma tool because can you imagine what would happen if we just said, go try this at home verbally? They didn't have something he could see. He didn't have a playbook of who, what, when, where, and how written out. He would be sent to slaughter, metaphorically. So when I work with families, in summary, these two tools are critical. There's 10 others. But these I picked out to show to you today as an example because I thought these two work together like peas and carrots. You have the who or the right people on the bus, and when you have the right people on the bus and you have the right playbook and the right undercurrent, it just goes. To attain these goals that you had, I had to figure out a way to work smarter, not harder. No one I saw was reading a 365-page Treating the Traumatized book because everybody was just drowning in information, and more information didn't mean more wisdom. So I had to go back to the drawing board and said, is there a way to take the book and digitize it in a way that would be fun? People could consume these techniques quickly. They could see it in action like you saw today, and they could get quick results. Well, what happened was to help people go further and faster, enter the digital advanced training course. I want to share with you. It's 12 weeks, 3 video lessons per technique. I showed you an overview of 2 of them, but you can do this on your time, anytime. When you sign up for the course, you'll get a course calendar. It'll look like this. And what you'll see here is that when you take the course, you'll be transported with a username and password to a advanced training course library. Now, this took a year and a half to develop because I did a beta test. I had a founders group. And so here's what the founders and other graduates have told. Hundreds have gone through this now. They like that they see that they are completing the 12 weeks and this bar goes up to show that how much they're completing. They like the ability to take any technique at any time before they go into a session, whether they're a case manager or a therapist or a paraprofessional, and say, you know what, I want to know more about this technique called the motivational phone call. I want to be able to engage my parents so they'll show up and cooperate. So you just click on the module, and it will instantly transport you to 3 lessons. They're 20 minutes each. And after you complete the 3 lessons, you complete the post-test, and you immediately get a CE certificate for your work. You also have your Facebook group that's just for the people taking the course that Sandra was talking about. And so let's say I want to learn the FST motivational script. And so when you click on that, you'll see here that each one, not only do I talk about the technique, but you'll see it being done with real cases. I'm an experiential learner, and one of the things that I knew is to be a great therapist, you need both content and process, the delivery, how it goes. And I wanted to see. The other thing you'll see is that everybody learns differently. So some of you will want to watch the video. Some of you will want to just download it so you can listen to it jogging or in the car, wherever. Some of you want the video transcript, and some of you want the slide deck. Everyone learns differently. So this course was designed for whatever way you learn to learn the best way. So, and then you complete it and you move on to the next lesson. Just to summarize what the course does, and then I want to take some questions, is in the course, when you decide to take it, you have 12 techniques in 12 weeks. If it takes you a little longer, that's okay. You'll have real case examples. You'll have weekly office hours with me. You'll have a copy of the book. You'll have a private Facebook community. You'll have the video search engine I just showed, and you'll get 12 continuing education credits. You'll also, after graduation, receive an electronic badge and a certificate that'll be framed for you that you'll put up on your wall or put on your signature line that you are advanced trained. Some of you may want to go on for certification. So after graduation, you're eligible for certification, which is to onboard your case with a consultant. What this includes is the course material, a digital version of the book, office hours with me, Facebook community, and this is $5.95. I tried to lower it as low as I could go because I wanted to make this accessible to as many people as possible. And so if you decide to enroll, you would simply write down this address, or Allison will put the link in your chat bar. Now, this particular class will start in October, and the enrollment will close October 11th. I devote all my time and energy to every graduating class, and so that it's not an open-ended course. It closes on October 11th. So if you decide to do it after October 11th, the course will be closed. You cannot get into it. So, and some of you are from agencies, and if you want group rate, many agencies have taken this course, and you would just email us, and we would work with you on that as well. Karina, and the time that we have, and then I'll get to question and answer, what was one thing that was transformative for you by taking the course?
Hi everybody from the UK. I think for me, in the beginning, I was a bit skeptical because I'd obviously done the session that you're doing tonight, obviously, you know, a few months ago. And I thought, is this for me? You know, that I've done lots of different workshops, but I can honestly say it's the best thing in my 36 years of practice that I've actually invested in. And I think it was the bit that it is taking you through a process of where you can actually see for yourself the difference you're making to families. I could see I'm more confident in what I do now, and that's big for me after all these years. But I do think that, like I say, because there's lots of visuals in it, well, as you can see, I love visuals, the families do me, we love the visuals, and I just think it was everything that fell into place for me because I was actually working with the families at the time, and I could see it changing for me as well as them. And honestly, the best investment for me that I've ever done.
You are so sweet. I mean, what I loved is that you came on all the office hours and you just kept plugging away and going, I'm going to learn this. And you just are I'm so thankful we have you as a counselor to help so many families. So thank you both guys. So let's get some questions and answers from the tribe here as to about anything they saw today. And stay on if you guys would, because they might have a few questions for you. So Allison, as our moderator, we'll do till 4, and then we'll stay on a little bit longer for those of you who can stay, so that we can answer some more questions. So, Allison, go. If you could tell us a few of the questions that people had.
Yeah, absolutely. Before I get to a couple of questions, I actually want to give answers to some questions that have been coming in pretty fast and furious.
Okay.
So first of all, there is continuing education offered if you take the course, and that is through NBCC and ASWB. So both of those, and those are U.S.-based continuing education programs. I will follow up with a couple of people, or you can email me at info@familytrauma.com if you have specific questions about that. The course is 100% virtual. Everything is done online. There is, as Dr. Sells mentioned, a Facebook group, but you do not have to be on Facebook in order to take the course. The course is available in our course platform, and everything is recorded in Zoom and put into the platform for you to watch later if you want to do that. Okay. So I am going to, there is a question, Dr. Sells, for you about the village. So it's, would asking the parent question, why do you think involving your extended family village may not be important, be a way to move them towards change talk when they are very adamant about not involving anyone? Or would you recommend using the village handout and going from there? We have had many families who insist there is no one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, timing is everything. I think the course is very designed strategically to move the chess piece up the board. As Beth and Karina were underscoring, you know, the families come in with their walls up, you know, and they're scared. And so it really begins as you delve into FST. And as Beth said, a transformation for her was that motivational series of questions that you ask on the phone. As people get to know that you care, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, that you can be what's called a systems irritant. You can take families that without these kind of questions would never talk about the village, but the relationship and the joining goes so high that they're willing to follow you into any foxhole because they've been part of the process throughout. As Beth highlighted with the stress chart, they're part of diagnosing where the stress is. So the model is built where everybody has a voice. Great question. What's another one, Allison?
So we have a couple more questions. One question is specific to the Native American community. However, Dr. Salz, we have gotten other questions. So how does the course relate to specific ethnicities and as the question asked, Native American tribal backgrounds? How does that work?
Well, one of the things as a researcher, I know I'm Caucasian, but the type of research I do is called grounded theory or ethnography. So what that means in layman's terms is that when I build a model, I go to the actual people, the families, as my co-researchers. And so the voices of Native Americans, Black, Latino, Chinese, all types of cultures have been actually co-authors of this model. So for example, the Native American tribes in Alaska, they came back to us and said, the stress chart, the words have to be changed. We have to fit the culture because words matter. The model is flexible enough that you can still have the integrity of the model, but utilize different words and phrases, but still have the same structure. Because at the end of the day, whether you are Black, white, whatever culture, families want competency and they want to be shown a clear pathway to answer the now what question. But within that, the model is flexible enough and has been built in collaboration with all of these cultural groups to answer that very question, because I am white and I wanted to make sure that if I built a course, I can, have the voices of different cultures. So thank you for that question. It really hits my heart. Thank you.
Okay, and we have another question that I think Karina may be able to answer for us. We have a recent graduate student from the UK, and I have shared that we have had recent graduates that have been in the program and have benefited, but she wanted to know specifically, having graduated from a master's program in the in the UK, would it be appropriate for her to take the course? Would it be beneficial?
I'd absolutely say yes, definitely. I think one of the things that it goes on what Dr. Salz was just saying. This is a program that crosses cultures, it crosses qualifications, experience. So I genuinely believe that even if you're brand new to it or are very extremely experienced, you're going to get a lot out of it, because it's a systems approach to counseling, to therapy. It's not just about children, it's about families, it's about, marriage guidance. So I think absolutely, definitely, she will benefit, or they will benefit from it. Yeah.
Well, that is great. Thank you, Karina. And that's all the time we had today for questions, because we do want to be respectful of people's time. I did write down the comments that people asked me direct questions, and I will get back with you. Please feel free to email us at info@familytrauma.com. And if you have additional questions about the techniques or anything else that was presented today and you didn't have time to ask, please feel free to send those in.
Yeah, please email me and I'll get to you. And also you can go to our Facebook page at Family Trauma Institute. So thank you guys. Have a great, wonderful day. Thank you, Beth. Thank you, Karina. Thank you for sharing your heart. And thank you guys for what you do to help our families more than ever. I've never seen so many stressed out families today. And so we need you guys on the front line. And I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. And if I can help in any way, it's a blessing to me, and I hope it's a blessing to you too. So have a great day, everybody. Bye for now.